The price of crude oil in the U.S. plummeted today. Prices per barrel are now in the negative.
So they can't take possession of oil, obviously.
We are in a physically constrained commodity market where storage and logistical bottlenecks really can drive prices negative.
U.S. crude futures today went below zero, went into negative territory.
Went negative.
Yeah.
And, the problem is nobody's driving a car anywhere in the world, essentially, 184 nations. Factories are closed and businesses are closed. And so all of a sudden, we had really a lot of energy to start off with, oil in particular. We had a lot. And then all of a sudden, they lost 40, 50% of their markets.
Whoa, there's lots of space over here. Look at this. Just, move the barbecue out of the way. Plenty of space, absolutely plenty of space for a couple of barrels of oil. We can't really move the satellite dish because that's really an essential service, during the lockdown. So we wouldn't have any television. But this is amazing. This is amazing space. I think this is great. We could easily fit a good, 10 barrels. That would be $400. Got loads of space over here. Look at this. More storage space over here. All we'd have to do is just remove the kids. And there's loads of space over here in the other balcony. What on earth is going on? Imagine you go to fill up your tank and it costs just 1 cent. And it's brilliant, it's fantastic. You go for a fantastic road trip. And the next day you go up to fill up your tank because it's completely empty. But this time you pay $200. Yikes. Now, this is the thing. This is what would happen if we didn't have something called the futures market. In the futures market, barrels of oil are bought and sold, but they're never actually usually physically exchanged. They're usually traded via contracts. This is where things get pretty cool. These contracts entitle the buyer to receive a number of standardized barrels of oil. This means that the buyer of those contracts gets the price that they need in the future, and likewise the seller of that contract gets the price that they need to sell at in the future. So both parties actually benefit. What it does is it creates certainty in the market and a certain degree of price stability, which is great. It's good for business. This means that companies are able to plan for the future without having to worry about the price of oil. And this can mean the difference between a company doing really well or going bankrupt. It's especially true for companies that rely on oil, such as factories or airline companies. Now, in the futures market, each barrel of oil is standardized. It's kind of like an imaginary barrel of oil, an average barrel of oil, and it usually comes from a standard place. So in this instance, we're talking about WTI, West Texas Intermediate Oil. That is the barrel of oil that dipped to minus $40. Typically, these barrels of oil don't actually need to be physically exchanged. They're based on contracts, so these contracts are just netted off or closed off and cash settled. And that cash can be added or taken away from the actual price of oil, whether you're buying or selling the oil. It usually works really well in practice. That is until now. No one wants to buy oil, and as a result, there's just too much of it. Traders and speculators who have bought these contracts have found that they can't actually resell them. As a result, that means that they need to go to Cushing's, Oklahoma, and receive delivery of actual oil. Now, this is a big problem because traders are not really set up to take delivery of oil because they're not oil merchants, and secondly, they've got nowhere to store it because all the oil tankers are full up, and that's the problem. So if you can't resell this oil, you're in trouble, and that is the issue. That is the reason why the market is worried. The market believes that the cost of storing that oil is going to be $40 per barrel. which is the reason why yesterday oil was trading at minus $40 a barrel. Sounds crazy, but that's the way we are living in this coronavirus world. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.